Hello, everyone. My name is Misty Petrella. Welcome to Epic Goofs, Blunders, and Fails, the Summit and Giveaway, where today's coaching and business experts are going to be talking about their misfires on the way to greatness, and most importantly, how they made it through to the other side. I'm going to introduce my fabulous guest, the ever-renowned Miss Molly Sapp, in just a moment, but a few housekeeping things. First of all, you can get this interview and Molly's freebie here at the Epic Goofs website, which is epicgoofssummit.com. And you can join in the conversation about failing fabulously, and failing forward in my Facebook group, The Empowered Entrepreneur. So head on over. Okay. Okay, so it is my utmost pleasure to introduce the renowned Miss Molly Sapp, who is ever herself, and that's what we love about her. She is a mindset coach for entrepreneurs and people who are trying to do big-ass things, right? So, which is awesome. So, Molly, tell everybody all about what you do, why you do it, why you're passionate about it.
Okay. Thank you for having me, by the way. I am, God, she's so cute. Okay. So I am a mindset coach, and I studied mindset for about 15 years before I got into mindset coaching. And I didn't even know I was going to be a mindset coach until I was like, oh my God, I have to do something with my life. I'm a complete failure. So basically that's one of the reasons why I'm perfect for this. And I was just like, I have to do something. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a mindset coach, then I have to do something that's very mindset oriented and something that's definitely gets attention. And so that's one of the reasons why I use a lot of sexual analogies. I talk very inappropriately. I do things that basically show you that you can do the most insane, obnoxious things and still make a lot of money and actually build success for yourself while doing so. And I because I'm an actress, I have I've researched a lot of the entertainment industry and looked at the people who are making a lot of noise in the entertainment industry. And I was like, why don't I take this into the coaching market and see how everybody responds? And it's been quite interesting, to say the least.
It's been brilliant, to say the least. Okay, so that is awesome. So what do you think about, clearly you work with mindset, and that's really what this whole summit is about, mindset. So tell us what you think about the whole idea of failure. What do you think about that word?
Well, it's a good question, because I have failed so many times in such big ways on trying to manifest what I want. And we're talking weight loss struggles for 10 years. We're talking financial struggles for God knows how many years. We're talking boyfriend struggles for my entire life until the past couple of years. And it wasn't until in each sector of my life that I was looking at my mindset about it and saying, but I can't seem to manifest anything because I keep failing. It wasn't until I said, I'm not failing, I just haven't hit the bullseye on what I want. And that was literally the key to unlocking pretty much every single manifestation I have wanted in a big, big way. So failure, when I hear failure, it's kind of like, oh God, it's not failure. Even though they say it's so cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. Failure is not really failure until you just stop trying. When you stop trying, or you stop executing a new belief or a new pattern, that's when it's failure.
That's beautiful. I couldn't agree more, right? And here's what I'm going to recap just to make sure everybody heard that, right? She said, it just means you missed the mark.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So, I made this, I created this summit because, everyone thinks that the people who are successful have never failed, right? They did something, they have some magic I don't have, right? So the point is that everybody's been through it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the epic goof or epic fail you're bringing to the table to share with people?
There's a couple of ones, and one in particular is kind of I did it more than once. So it's kind of I've I do it so often, actually. I made a really inappropriate, it happened in the past year. I made a really inappropriate comment to a married person, and it was a sexual remark. And I got messaged by the person's spouse that was very offended by my remark. And I was mortified because that, like, I was friends with all of them, and like both spouses, and it was like totally not meant in the way that it was taken. And I felt horrible. I was like, oh my God, my business and my life is completely over. And instead, what I looked at was, I fucked up. I fucked up. I fucked up. And I just kept saying it to myself. And I was like, you know what? How can I take this and shift it and move it around so that I not only learn something, but people not only learn something, and the spouse that was offended can understand me on a very deep level, and we can grow closer, or they can, at least have some sort of like regain my dignity in this situation. And I made a video about me and the way that I tend to make big oopsies in front of a lot of people, and how I've done it for decades, my entire life. And I wrote her a very personal, long email, like explaining why I did that, where I was coming from. And she and I are on very, very, very wonderful terms now, both the spouse and the person. And the other person wasn't offended at all because she understood me. But it also helped me to say to my audience and my clients, like, you can really fuck up royally, and you can do something really offensive, but you can still take action on creating, healing the situation, and not only regain your dignity, but bring a relationship closer, and educate your audience and inspire them that they too they're never going to completely fail at anything, even when you make huge mistakes on a very deep level.
Right. So was this a client that you had upset?
No, it wasn't a client. It was just, I made a comment in a group, like, I can't remember what I said. I think I made a comment about a girl's legs, like she had really great legs, and she was married, and the spouse contacted me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm madly in love with my boyfriend, but like, sometimes you can offend people, and you can, like, you're gonna offend people. That's just the way it is when you put yourself out there. You're gonna say shit that you don't think is gonna piss somebody off. You're gonna do those things. Yeah. And it's like, I can't tell you how many clients I see that, like, of mine, who are scared to do that, because you can do that to anybody very easily. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's a big one. Okay. So that's great. And by the way, she has moved through that and is completely successful. So let's remember that part. Okay. So let me ask you this. When you got to that part where you were like, because people get to that part where they're like, oh my God, I really messed up. Mm-hmm. What am I going to, like, can I keep doing this, right? So how did you get to that part where you're like, oh my God, can I keep doing this, to like moving forward again? How did you go from that frozen terror spot to like moving forward?
Yeah, it's a frozen terror spot, especially for that one.
I would think, yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. I think that because I do so much mindset work, I realized probably like under an hour, within an hour or two, because it affected me, because I really cared about both of them, and I didn't want, like, I felt so bad. I think it was really a matter of like understanding how intense my thoughts were about it, that it was like I was thinking so negatively about myself about it, that I was like, I have to change this. I have to change this. I have to change this. And it was like, okay, I may not be on good terms with them, but I can, I don't know if rectify is the right word, change the situation by letting them know, this is where I was coming from. This is really my heart. I did not mean to, like, basically just change the situation. And if their response to my apology was not welcoming, okay, that's I understand. But knowing that just because you offend one person does not mean that you are forever going to offend everybody else, and that you don't have something of value to say to the world. And if you were to stay in that mindset that you you are going to offend the rest of the world, then you're really no better than the person who did the offending. So if you really want to change the situation, you not only, go to the person and say, I'm sorry, but then you move forward as a leader and act as a leader who just made a big oops.
Right. And like, I want to just reiterate that something that she just said that was, of course, really important is that she realized that she was beating herself up. I think it's really important that you realize that, because those things we say to ourselves are usually way worse than the actual situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So kudos to you for witnessing that. We usually just like feel those feelings of badness and guilt and stuff without realizing that we're like saying it to ourselves, So that's awesome. Like, but of course you're a mindset coach, so.
Well, to add something on it, the reason that I found it so quickly, because I've had a past pattern of beating myself up, and a lot of us do, like that's a biggie.
Me too.
I had beaten myself up for some other past mistakes that I had made like that, but in school or something, where I had kept beating myself up, and it just kind of magnified and magnified and magnified. So that's one of the reasons why I got into mindset, to understand why I was creating all these negative situations for myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Good for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, it's good though. It's perfect. Because I mean, there's good people, especially the people that were like other entrepreneurs that we're talking to, and visibility and what people think of you when you start to grow your presence is like a big scary thing sometimes. So no matter what, it'll all be okay. That's what's awesome about your story.
Thanks.
Okay, so what if any possible blessings came out of this, do you think?
Number one, it got me really clear on that I'm going to fuck up in bigger ways, and I'm going to offend more people. I'm going to offend probably more important people. I might even offend my clients. And there's always a professional way to handle it. There's always a way to There's always a way to change the situation. And largely the way that the other person who handles the situation is just as indicative of like the validity to your mistake, if that makes sense. So like if you make a big mistake in front of a large audience, how they respond to your mistake, or how you respond to the mistake, or how the world responds to your mistake is largely a reflection of the world or the audience or the other person. And that's where you learn to yourself and to love yourself on a very deep level, because it's kind of like I can't love myself on a deep level if I'm so pissed off at myself for upsetting somebody else or causing drama in a Facebook group or whatever it might be. If that happens, I have to own my own worth on a very deep level, to where I understand, okay, I fucked up, I messed up, I was offensive, whatever, but that's not a reflection of my own worth or my confidence or my ability to succeed. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And is absolutely
That's the blessing.
true. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay. So there are a lot of people who are afraid of taking risks.
Yeah.
We are watching this, right?
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for someone knows they want to work on that project or been wanting to put themselves out there for a while, but they're afraid of the risk of it?
Mm-hmm. This is what I would tell my client if I was on the phone with her or like talking to her. I would say, write a list of 75 different ways that you could like fail miserably, and like what you think is the worst case scenario, and write them down and look at them, because 9.9 times out of 10 even, you're going to see that it's kind of like, okay, well, even if that did happen, there's still a way to, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to succeed. Like, and that's That's my best answer, honestly, because if you really did do that work, it shows that you have a determination and a drive to make whatever it is happen. And you're going to look at your failure or your fear of failure dead in the face and in a really big way. And if you can face that fear head on, you're not only going to be prepared that if it did happen, you'd be okay and you wouldn't die and you wouldn't go broke or anything like that, but you would also be like, okay, that's the worst thing that can happen. And I'm not scared thinking that it's going to happen. So I'm constantly looking over the back of my shoulder, worrying that it is going to happen.
Right.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Okay. That's very cool. All right. So how do you think that someone fails successfully? How do you fail successfully?
Oh, okay. So when somebody who's my perfect example is sales calls or creating programs or projects or whatever it might be, like you might quote unquote fail and you might not get the client or sell out the program or whatever the hell it is, but you also have a leg up against somebody else who's just starting out because that didn't work because of X, Y, and Z. Now I know that I need to do X, Y, and Z so that I can hit the mark. And also, if you look at like any successful person, they go through those things and they say, like 99.9% of successful people say, if you look at your failures as like indicators of how close you are to your success, it not only propels you forward, but it's like it gives you clues as to what's not working, how to tweak it, and how to move it into a really big success. And when you fail, you give yourself an opportunity to have an even bigger success because you pull out things that didn't work. And so you're like, okay, well, I was aiming for 100K launch or whatever. That didn't work because of X, Y, and Z. So instead I'm going to aim for this, and your mind just is more open to receiving and to experiencing that. That makes sense.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So I think that most people who follow you and know who you are would say that you're pretty fearless, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what gets you scared sometimes? What gets you?
Oh, that's a good question. Offending people, honestly. And I think that's one of the reasons why that happened to me. What our biggest fears are is usually probably what we run into. Like, upsetting people is my biggest fear, because I never want.
Not what I thought you would say. I know I'm totally interrupting you, but like I think that most people would be surprised by that answer if they are in your Facebook group.
Yeah, well, one of the things that, like, because I know that I was going to be offensive and offend people, I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to be offensive and I'm going to offend people. But I really don't want to like really truly hurt somebody.
Oh, sure.
And like I don't want to like, I might want to provoke somebody to think differently or something, but like if they're genuinely hurt or offended, that hurts my heart, like in a big way.
That's a really good distinction, by the way. That's a beautiful distinction. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So do you have any last minute tips, advice, anything around failure? Any last minute words before we go into your super awesome?
I would say that, like, because I even had been kind of struggling with something over the past few weeks, that like if you've had something where a really good example, and this isn't mine, but it's a good example, weight loss. There are so many women and men out there who have like failed weight loss and like had a lot of success, like they've lost 100 pounds or whatever, and then they've gained it back. And so it's like just dead set in their mind that they can't succeed. And it's almost kind of like one of the things that I tell myself is, usually if you're so focused on the fact that you've failed so many times, there's probably a part of you that doesn't want to feel success. You're more attached to the feeling of the failure, so you're not letting go of the fact that you quote unquote failed. So look at that. If you're having a hard time succeeding in anything, sometimes it's even more comfortable to stay in the failure than it is to say, okay, I so-called failed, but I know I can do this, and get up and succeed.
That is some deep shit and really awesome, actually. That's awesome. I mean, for all of us, like, we're always launching, people who are in this business, we're always launching stuff. We're always putting ourselves out there over and over again. So like, if that fear of, oh my God, I got to do it again or whatever is coming up, that means there's something still in there. That's good. Thank you. Oh, I got so lucky. Okay. All right. So Molly has been kind enough to gift this amazing audience with her. Is it new for you? Is it new? It's just come out?
Yeah, it's brand new.
Okay, good. So mindset hacks for overcoming the fear of fucking up. I love that title. I love it. So tell us all about it.
Well, I was kind of like, it was a spur of the moment thing because I had like fucked up on forgetting to like create the freebie. And I was like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And it's basically just me giving a more detailed explanation of like, honestly, if you really want to set yourself up for success in your business, kind of go into your failure as your success. And I explain that on a deeper level, and it's about 15 minutes. And I kind of just go on a rant, basically explaining it and like explaining it, almost looking at the success models of people in the entertainment business as well.
Nice. That is very cool. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to get that one. Thanks. I'm so lucky. Everyone gets all the freebies, but I get them first too. Okay. So, well, thank you so much for being here, Molly. This is like serious. I mean, like I had you on the list from the very beginning, and I am so honored that you could join. I know you've got a lot going on right now, so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And you were like the best interviewer ever, by the way. You should
Shut up your face. I love you. Okay. Thanks. I receive.
Good.
Okay. So where now, they can get this freebie on your website too, right?
Yes. I'm not putting it out until I give it to you, and then I'll have it like it's a separate thing for you guys, but it will be available after the summit's done. But this is just for you right now.
Okay, cool. That's beautiful. All right, so you can get this freebie, like I said before, at the Epic Goofs website, which is epicgoofssummit.com. So head on over there and grab this freebie, all the other ones, this video. And like I said before, come join in the conversation in my Facebook group, The Empowered Entrepreneur. We're talking all about failure. Okay, guys. Like I said, Molly, thank you again so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you guys on the flip side. You guys have a great day. Bye.